Harry mentioned, which is amazing. And the downside is there probably are people that will come maybe like justify their lack of performance. Like, come on, dude, we're friends. So I'm just curious how you kind of delineate between like friend mode and work mode.
Yeah, it's a great question, man, and it's always uncomfortable, right? There's no elegant way to do it. We actually call it elegant conflict, but you set parameters and expectations, right? So like we have coach principles, like our values are captured by this
Mhm.
acronym called coach. It's like we want every employee to be curious, optimistic, like never negative, never pessimistic, ambitious, compassionate, treat everybody with love and respect, and then humble. So those are our values, and each person is graded by those values. So if you step outside of line, if you're not ambitious, if you're not optimistic, if you're being arrogant or self-centered, like we can measure you against what you signed up for. So that's important to have some type of measuring stick for the people you
Mm.
bring on, but also being direct. Like there was a time in I'll never forget it, and I hope he listens to this. But Hunter Kislick, one of our best friends, we're hosting his bachelor party in a couple weeks. He was the captain of the Georgetown football team.
Mhm.
Played with my brother Jake. Amazing sales rep. He's still with us today, runs the biggest book of business in the company, and has a great team. His distributors love him. His accounts love him. But in like 2018, my brothers and I had to sit him down and said, Hunter, this isn't the Hunter show, right? Like you're out here doing things for what's best for you. You're making plays, but often at the expense of the teammates around you. And having that conversation with him was super uncomfortable for the three of us. I'm sure it was uncomfortable for him, but it changed the way we worked together.
Mm.
And it changed his mentality about what it means to be on this team.
Mm.
So it's very easy not to have that conversation.
Yeah.
So I guess the guidance is once you feel it, have that conversation ASAP
Yeah.
before, because if it festers and gets too long, you can't have that conversation anymore.
Yeah.
The damage becomes irreparable.
Yeah.
There's like a statute of limitations on like that conversation. It's like if you let it happen and ferment and just like hang around for too long, it's just like we missed our window.
Yeah, totally.
And I feel like life as CEO is just like constant, difficult conversations, right? Do you feel like you really hardened that muscle a lot the last 5 to 6 years?
Yeah, I think I'm just a overly compassionate person, which is sometimes a sign of weakness. But I quickly address feedback and performance. I don't let that linger. I think we could do a better job of setting a culture of high performance. You know, like we've all played on teams with old school coaches who don't tolerate any nonsense.
Yes.
And I think that we've gotten away from that a little bit. The broader and more diverse the team has become, and inevitably you will. But I think goal setting is also critical into holding people accountable. Because to your point, if your buddy comes to you and is like, come on, dude, we're boys. It's like, well, I've been telling you for 3 months that you've been underperforming, not only on cases sold, accounts visited, but just activity. Like you're not putting in the time that your partner is. Look at your partner, he's smashing his goals,
Yeah.
and you're missing yours, right?
Yeah.
So I think any benchmark or measuring stick you can institute holds people accountable objectively.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At what point did you guys start thinking about culture? Like obviously the first hire you're thinking about like who we want to bring on, it's going to be really important to the DNA of the company. But like when did you guys implement the coach strategy or philosophy around the business?
So culture is always an extension of the people who work there, right? And it's an extension of personalities. For us, that was multiplied by 3 because we all grew up in the same house with mom and dad, sort of teaching us. Our mom's mentality was kick today's ass. My dad dropped me off at Pop Warner football practice, my first all pads practice when I was 8 years old, and he said, "Be the first person to the water cooler." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Hustle in between the lines, but hustle off the field too." And that kind of set the tone for what is acceptable. You know, that's the standard is hustling on and off the field. So that's kind of what we exuded into the world, and the type of people we attracted was just by being us. Coach helped define the way we all behaved. I think another important piece. So coach didn't come around until 2019.
Okay.
I would say 4 years in, we finally codified it. And we had a commitment to trust early on, where we set down rules of like, if you need to deliver feedback to somebody who's underperforming, here's how you're going to do it. And I can share this stuff with you guys to link out, because I do think that some level of these principles and practices is important early on. And I think, so culture is not only an extension of the people, it's also what you tolerate, right? So the moment that you set a standard and you allow somebody to break it, that's the moment that you're saying you don't care about those values or that culture. And that's a tough thing. So you really have to, if you see somebody not living up to it, you have to take action swiftly.
It's always fascinating having on founders because it's fun to just learn about the things that make them excited or what them tick about business. You know, there's some people that love sales and relationships. There's some people that love digging deep into the numbers. Like we had Wyatt on from Ice Barrel. He just loves being all in on the numbers, which was interesting. I'm curious for you, like,